They are business leaders, experts in economy, society, and culture. In 15 minutes, their insights will create a vivid picture of Vietnam. Sharing Vietnam, the country as you see it.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sharing Vietnam of NetVit channel VTC10. I'm your host John Chun. With 40 years of diplomatic ties and a November scheduled signing of a free trade agreement, Chile and Vietnam are closer to each other than ever. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Fernando Urrutia, Ambassador of Chile to Vietnam. Mr. Fernando, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And before we begin, here's a clip on Mr. Fernando's beautiful home country in Chile.
Chile is a country in South America, occupying a long, narrow coastal strip between the Andes Mountains to the east and the Pacific Ocean to the west. With a population of 17 million people and GDP per capita of $15,000, Chile is one of South America's most stable and prosperous countries.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So Mr. Fernando, we just saw a beautiful clip of Chile. Could you share with us some of the highlights and natural features of Chile?
Chile is a very long and narrow country. Geographically, it's very special. But we have similarities also with Vietnam in that sense. Both countries are between the mountains and the sea.
So as I said, Chile is a far ways from Vietnam. So do you recall your first time coming to Vietnam? Could you share with us your first impression?
Before coming to Vietnam as ambassador, I was consul general in Hong Kong.
Oh, I see.
And we used to come here with my wife, 3 or 4 times on holidays. Because of the beauty of the country, and also, well, the people so open and warm. And she is an artist, and she loves the talent and the art here in Vietnam.
So, as your role as ambassador, could you describe what you do and how did you get to become ambassador of Vietnam?
I tell you, it's a surprise when my colleague from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs called me early last year and told me, well, you are the new ambassador to Vietnam. Well, I never expected that. So it was a surprise, but a wonderful surprise, a great surprise. So we are very happy to be here. I mean, there is a lot of work to do. Fortunately, well, you mentioned we finished this free trade agreement negotiation. It took a number of years and 8 rounds, and finally the last round was in June, last June. So, we are ready to sign. That is from the commercial point of view, but we have a long history, 40 years of diplomatic relations. The diplomatic relations were established during the President Allende's government in 1971.
Wow.
So, at the time, you were involved in a war, in a very difficult moment. And Chile was the second country in Latin America to offer our solidarity.
Oh, I see.
With the Vietnamese people. You all know that Cuba was the first, we were the second. So we are very far away, but in many ways we are very, very close together. We are different peoples, but we have many things in common.
And we'll jump into the cultural aspects of things and the differences and similarities in a bit, but let's take a break and look at a clip on Chilean culture.
Chilean culture is a mix between Hispanic culture and its native cultures such as Indian, Altiplano, and Mapuche. Besides, Chilean culture also receives influences from European countries such as England, France, and Germany. These influences manifest themselves in culinary, architecture, music, sports, and other fields.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So Fernando, we just saw a clip about Chilean culture. I imagine very different from Vietnam. Could you explain if there's any difficulties you've encountered in adjusting to new life in Vietnam?
Not at all, except a little bit because of the language. Because unfortunately, I don't speak Vietnamese yet. I hope to one day to start.
Well, Vietnamese
talking.
is a very difficult language. There's a lot of tones as opposed to other languages.
Yes, it is. I mean, well, I have been to Korea before, and just a few words in Korean and China, but this every Asian language is completely different. People have received us
very warm,
very openly.
And so we're going to jump into my favorite topic, which is food. How have you been enjoying food in Vietnam?
Very much, very much. I love Vietnamese food. I think it's excellent. And it's interesting because Vietnamese food is coming everywhere. In Chile, we have only one Vietnamese restaurant, but it's a very popular one. A very popular one. I heard even in Brazil, for example, they don't have any Vietnamese restaurants, and so we have an advantage there. And I know, for example, one of my favorites is pho. And you have pho everywhere now. In Japan, we were visiting just a few months ago, and you know, it's in
U.S.
U.S.
Plenty of.
So it's becoming very, very, very popular. I love Vietnamese food. It's healthy and excellent. Well, I told you, if you compare with some other Asian foods, maybe this is the healthier one.
Oh, I see. And so I imagine Vietnamese food is very different from Chilean food. Do you still keep your diet from that you eat in Chile?
Yeah.
Or do you...
Well, we mix a little bit. I mean, we're still our cook at the embassy is from Myanmar.
Oh, I see.
So he cook Asian food from different countries. Well, of course, Vietnamese, but also from Thailand and Indian and my wife is teaching him to prepare some Chinese, some Chilean food also. So I mean we're very open in that sense. We usually have a lot of Vietnamese food and sometimes some Chilean dishes. Yes, yes.
So normally with food you complement it with wine. So Chile is very famous for its wine. Could you share with us about that?
One of the reasons of the Chilean wine being so popular in Vietnam is that match perfectly with the Vietnamese food. Yes, I mean mainly with seafood and well, all kind of barbecues and I mean. I think the Chilean wine is very popular here. One of the reasons is that, and the main reason I will say is the quality and price. We have a very good quality wines, and the price are not high if you compare
reasonable.
with some other countries.
We won't mention.
I will not mention. So, but. I think the match between the Vietnamese food and the Chilean wine is perfect.
Works perfect. So, Mr. Fernando, all this talk about food and wine is making me hungry. So, actually, let's take a break. And here's a clip about the culture exchange between Chile and Vietnam.
Since the Chile-Vietnam Culture Institute was first established in 1965, it has organized many activities to introduce Vietnamese culture to Chilean people. The institute has held many events to strengthen the two countries' relationships, such as organizing Chile-Vietnam Days, contests, photography exhibitions, conferences and opportunities in Vietnam, etc.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So Fernando, Mr. Fernando, as I understand, Chile has a wide, diverse range of ethnic minorities and also a very rich history of interaction with the global world, as opposed to Vietnam, which hasn't really had much exposure. What advice would you give to Vietnam as it begins to develop and integrate into the global system?
We have been very open in our economy, culturally. So I think you can benefit of different cultures and different point of view. If you remain isolated, of course, you will never learn. But if you open, you will receive all kind of cultural influence, and that is good for us. I think that is actually, I think Vietnam is doing now, opening to the globalization. You yourself, you study in the United States, where it's important to have many people that make studies in different countries and different cultures.
And that's just a part of globalization. Everyone is becoming more interconnected, interdependent on each other.
Yeah.
And so as Vietnam develops and emerges onto the world, it's beginning to open up new trade relationships, and a part of it is signing a free trade agreement, which is being negotiated with Chile currently. When will they sign this agreement, and do you plan to promote Chilean culture in Vietnam to further expand upon the cooperation economically?
Yeah. Well, relating the signing of a free trade agreement, that will be definitely this year. Most probably during the APEC meeting, the Asia Pacific Forum meeting in Hawaii in November, next November. There is other options, but probably will be in that convention, but definitely in 2011. That's for sure. And I think it has been an excellent experience, this negotiation between our two countries. As you mentioned, also culture is important, and it's very important to me. The problem we have here is as you mentioned at the beginning, we are so far away. So bringing artist group,
Writers,
dance or theater, or in both ways, it's very difficult because it's very expensive. that is the main problem we have. That is very difficult, but we try to do what we can. And we have been organizing for 7 years now a Chilean film week.
I see.
So we are been showing. That is easier to bring
more
a film and to show the Chilean film industry.
So, Mr. Fernando, expanding on your goals, what do you hope to contribute for the relationship between Chile and Vietnam? And lastly, what would you like your legacy to be as ambassador of Chile to Vietnam?
First of all, one of my goals will be achieved very soon. I think the free trade agreement is a
very
great step forward. Then I think, well, of course, increase the commerce and trade between the two countries, and I think it's very possible. But the next step will be investment. We have a number of Chilean companies interested to invest in Vietnam.
Well, Mr. Fernando, that's all the time we have for today. So thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much for having me.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that concludes our show for today. Thank you for watching Sharing Vietnam. From all of us from NetVid, channel VTC 10, I'm John Chun. Live through today and we'll see you tomorrow.
Cảm ơn ông Fernando, Urrutia và John Trần. Tiếp theo mời quý vị và các bạn cùng quay trở lại với biên tập viên Khánh Long để đến với câu chuyện hội nhập ngày hôm nay.
Cảm ơn Hà Phương. Thưa quý vị và các bạn, trong mục đầu tư xuất nhập khẩu, chúng tôi đã đề cập tới lộ trình phát triển của ngành thép hướng ra xuất khẩu, câu chuyện hội nhập sẽ tiếp tục đề cập đến những bước phát triển của doanh nghiệp ngành thép, một trong nhiều ngành kinh tế trọng điểm của Việt Nam.